Mm. Hey, B. Listen, you know I'm not talking unless you're giving me likes, all right? You commenting and you're subscribing. You hear me? Okay. Well, listen, I'm down here so that we can talk more about Real Housewives of Atlanta. We got to get into Kelly for real because she did go and have a sit down with virtual reality. And she got into a few things as it pertains to, Miss Porsha Williams, Brit Edie. She talked about a bit of that as well as Miss Phaedra, too. She did talk about her as well. Seems like she may have taken a liking to Phaedra since Phaedra has joined the show. All right. But in addition to that, we also got to talk about Porsha Williams because she's coming back to the YouTube with another video. All right, talk about she gonna be exposing somebody, and we'll check that out in just a second. And we also got to get into Kenya Moore and what her next big plans are. All right, but before we get into everything, make sure you're doing your due diligence. But in the meantime, let's go ahead and start out with Miss Kelly. All right, I want to get into a few clips, primarily the audio of what Miss Kelly discussed over there on virtual reality. So let's get into that. Now I'm gonna tell you right now, when I was watching it, the volume was pretty low. Okay. So if you're having issues with the volume, I have everything up as high as I can get it. And please forgive me. All right. You might have to turn your volume up just a tad bit so that you can hear. But let's get into it.
You and Brit started the season out strong.
Yeah.
But it seems like we're not as strong as this pastry right now.
No.
Or actually, maybe we are as strong as this pastry because it's very
Maybe
squishy.
you are, yeah.
What's going on?
What happened?
I think the friendship was just as fake as the pastry.
Ooh.
You want to put it back?
Oh.
At what point did you realize the friendship was fake?
And when I say fake, it's not in regards to, our real relationship. I think, loyalty lies, in certain places. And I think sometimes you don't always get that in friendships, unfortunately. And, you find out who's really for you and who really supports you and who doesn't.
It seems like her and Porsha are really supporting each other right now.
Well, they're just about as fake as that pastry.
Oh, okay.
Fans seem to have some questions about Brit and her husband, Michael. I am one of the fans. Because
She's already said me too.
Because you spent time with the two of them. Is there anything, because right now I'm a little concerned about how they interact with each other. Do you think they're going the distance? What do you think's going on there? We're just going to sip tea? I have 500 questions about them. Do we have to get you another cup of tea? Okay.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll just have to watch what happens.
Watch what happens.
Okay. All right. Pick another pastry.
I need to know why my girl Kelly is over here chuckling the hell up at Brit and this husband. She sipped a lot of her tea on that one. I don't know what it is that she knows. I don't know. The question is whether or not they were going to actually go the distance. They could possibly, girl, everybody is a possible, right? It's always a possible that people will go to distance. I don't know, but now with the reactions that Miss Kelly is giving, I kind of want to know more of what that dynamic is like with them. Because I feel like for me, when I watch the show, I think the energy that her husband gives off, as well as Angela's husband, is that they don't care to be a part of the show. But I'm just here because that's what you want. So it may appear as though they have some disinterest or whatever in their wives, but it's likely because they don't want to be on the show, maybe is what I want to believe. All right. That's me. Some people are like, nah, Jami, like they ain't interested in them ladies. Okay. So I don't know. But to me, I think it's more so because they don't really want to be on the show and they're doing their wives a favor because they know that this is something they want to do. So maybe that's what it is, but maybe y'all see something different. Leave it in the comments. Let me know your thoughts on that. In the meantime, let's check out some more clips and see what Miss Kelly had to say. Okay.
Kenya and Porsha had a nice little sit down. The fans were really excited to see it. They posted about it on social media.
Kenya and Porsha?
Yeah, Kenya and Porsha. But then Porsha, she recently posted a photo with Brit, and then Kenya wrote #traitor on her Instagram story.
And Traitors is over, so I know it's about the show.
Well, you don't know that.
What do you think this situation is about, and why do you think Porsha has seemingly switched teams from Team Kenya to Team Brit?
and I'm a little concerned, but I mean,
Not
you know, both of
concerned.
them had their, you know, like you said, with every situation comes a reaction, right? Every cause you have a reaction. So I think they both, you know, had some faults in the situation. Some did a little bit more than you can probably come back from, unfortunately, I guess. But I don't know. I'm definitely shocked to see P with B, but I don't know. Maybe they're, you know, maybe they found a real friendship within each other. I don't know. I think it's just as fake as the pastries, but you know, I get it. You know, you got to find, you know, a sisterhood somewhere.
It seems like you think that Brit is incapable of having authentic friendships after your experience with her.
Well, she said it. She literally said, like, she's not a girl's girl. She didn't really have a lot of girlfriends, you know. So I think it was probably really hard for her, you know, in regards to, you know, having a strong girl group. So I don't know. Maybe she's learning now. And I hope so. I hope that she's learning to.
I definitely believe that. I do. If you talk about your sisters coming up to the school to fight other girls on your behalf, and then it's you mentioning a hater or whatever the case in your tagline, like, one is giving you're full of yourself, number one, and number two, I feel like you don't know how to have good friendships with some other women because of likely the relationships you've had with your sisters. You know what I'm saying? And how your relationship is with them. You think all women operate like that, and they just damn don't. Okay? Like, you could just say and do whatever, then y'all be back cool the very next day or some shit, or a week later, and that's just not how it works for everybody. So I could see that. I mean, it is giving a little bit of birds of a feather flock together, a little bit with Porsha hanging with Brit, but I feel like if you give people enough time, Brit gonna do something that Porsha ain't gonna like either, and they gonna, or vice versa, and they not gonna be cool. Okay. At this point in the game, I do feel like Porsha is loyal to nobody but her motherfucking self, as she should be, really. So I don't think Brit should expect a whole bunch of loyalty, you know, from Porsha, because Porsha gonna have her own back.
You know,
It's
be a good
interesting you
friend.
say Brit is learning that. Meanwhile, we had Porsha and Shamia, who have been such good friends for so long.
Yes, yeah.
That people are concerned about maybe something's going on there, because we know when we had Shamia, and she did not seem to be a big fan of Brit.
Yeah.
And now her bestie is becoming friends with this girl, Brit. Like, what are we making of that? Should we be concerned for Shamia and Porsha?
I would be concerned if that was my
we should be
friend.
con-
No, I mean, they've been friends for so long, you know.
And here's the thing too, I have to pause that too, because my thing is also, like, isn't Brit, well, we don't know. We don't know. We have to watch the episode to see. But I do recall Shamia mentioning that Brit said something about her child, or maybe even said something about her parenting, okay? Whichever one. I'll have to watch and see how everything plays out, but I'll be honest, right at the edge of it, I'm kind of like, sometimes I be feeling like, don't tell me SHI ain't got no kids, ho. Okay, you can't tell me SHI until you walk in my shoes and deal with this and deal with that, and having to manage this daughter and do this to that, or whatever the case. Then got this daughter going to the hospital. You can't say SHI about my parenting or this, that, and the other, or whatever. But my mind may change once I see how the episode plays out. But to know that that person did what they did when it came to the Kenya situation, said what they said about Shamia, and then you're over here hanging out and befriending her, and Shamia does a whole post acknowledging your daughter's birthday like she typically does, and I didn't even see her say nothing. Okay, I think she made one post where I don't know if she tagged everybody, or she made one post about Real Housewives of Atlanta, and I saw Shamia in the comments with like fire emojis or whatever like that, and I'm like, girl, this is so much of a semantics. I hate it though. It's sad. It's a sad situation. I mean, well, is it? I don't know. Is it sad? Sometimes, you know, it may seem sad that friendships are breaking up, but maybe it is for the best ultimately. But let's keep going.
What I mean, they were friends like literally in middle school and
Yeah.
high school. So I know that she's probably definitely bothered, you know, by the situation. So again, that loyalty, I mean, it couldn't be my friend. It couldn't be my bestie. I'm sorry. But, you know, to each his own. Maybe sometimes people grow apart. You know, it
True.
could be a situation of people growing apart. But I really wish them the best. And whatever happens with their friendship, I hope that they could, you know, hopefully heal that in some sort of way.
Yeah, very true. Let's get to the next one.
Angela told us that Fedra, at the end of the season, came for her like a clout chaser.
Nah.
So-
Well,
For context of that, like, can you help us with that? Was Phaedra trying to clout chase at Angela? Like, what do you think she was trying to do there? And why was Angela her potential target or alleged target?
well, first of all, I don't think that Phaedra has the clout to chase anyone. I mean, she is the Southern Belle, right? I'm definitely gonna go for Team Fun Size always. But I think, I don't know, for some reason, I think some things were maybe misunderstood. I think it was a situation where things were not communicated properly, or it could have been miscommunication. I don't know. It was some weirdness going on, and I hate that it kind of started with me, I guess. I probably can't say
You
too
were
much
in the
of that.
mix? Wow, okay.
Well, I was mixing, but not like
Oh,
you were
stirring
in the
pot?
mix,
Okay.
you know, but I was mixing. So I don't know, you know, I hope that they can work it out, but you got two strong women personalities that, I don't know, it might be a team small versus team tall.
Oh,
Interest. So Phaedra and Angela finna have some beef. I wonder if they got a history already. Maybe they already got a history, which is why they finna be going back and forth with each other potentially. Either that or Angela. I don't know, Miss Mamas. Okay, you might be looking for somebody else to have a bone to pick with to, have some things going on the show aside from talking about what's really going on with you and Charles potentially. I don't know. Potentially, we only on episode 5, so potentially we shall see. Because I feel like you wanted to have that issue with Shamia. Y'all have sorted stuff out. You started the mess between, the mess was already there, okay? But you instigated a little piece with the Brit Kenya type situation, just a little piece, okay? By put your question out there, and then you over there flip flopping. I'm on your side. Oh, I hear you. I'm with you, okay? Da 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 da. I don't know, Miss Angela, but. I mean, you keeping us entertained just a little piece, so I can't even say that. But let's keep going.
Because that happened at the Married to Medicine reunion. We're wondering, because this is going to be your first reunion for Atlanta.
Yeah.
Who do you think is going to have the most to answer to at this reunion?
Definitely Porsha.
Okay.
She's going to have the most to answer. She's going to have a lot to answer to. I think Drew is probably going to have a lot to answer to. She's kind of, I'm going to give it to them for right now. Circle back with me towards end of the season.
And we will.
Yeah.
Porsha.
I'll let you know.
Porsha did say that she has receipts ready to share at the reunion. She didn't say.
She should.
She should. Okay. Do you
She
think
should
these?
have receipts and visas and everything else she's going to need.
Do you think these are receipts on Drew, or who do you think her target is?
At this point, I don't know. I think she is targeted after everybody at this point. She,
Even you? The ping to her pong?
She's always gonna have a ping. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised, but I mean, we'll see. You just never know. I don't know. Who knows what she filmed? I can't tell you.
Oh, so yeah,
let's
you're
just
you're
see,
waiting.
you know?
You're tuning in also.
I'm tuning in just like everybody else.
With this interview that Kelly did, I feel like she gave us a little bit of tidbits, but she definitely, producers must have got to them and said, listen, make sure y'all ain't giving away a whole lot of, because I feel like when Shamia do her interviews, sometimes she may give us a tad bit more, right? And I feel like sometimes Porsha, but it seemed like Brit was not Brit, but Kelly was not trying to come off for too much because she was damn sure not trying to get herself in trouble. And I don't really blame Kelly just a little bit, but I think Kelly gave us more of a, girl, you just gonna have to watch. I mean, I guess. I mean, maybe. I mean, I don't know. But shout out to Kelly, honey. Shout out to Kelly. One thing she let us know for sure and for certain is that Miss Britannica is giving fake, unfortunately. But let us keep going, because I told you guys I wanted to tap in on Miss Porsha and Kenya, because they ain't really cool or whatever. At least that's what it appears to be at this particular time. But aside from that, because that's not the focal point, Kenya, y'all know Kenya was not able to have a confessional of any sort. All right, she was not able to have a confessional, couldn't really share her thoughts unless it came on social media, right? Well, now, just a few days after Porsha announces that she will be coming over to YouTube to talk about Real Housewives, give people insight a little bit on her life, so she says, well, Miss Kenya Moore decided that she's going to do her own confessionals over on the YouTube, okay? Kenya hit us with this post saying confessionals in my words, all right? And she's telling the people to subscribe. She's going to start dropping something on April 15th, which is Tuesday, okay? I I don't know how I feel about this. Some part of me is like, yes, Kenya, come down, tell your side, express to the people what's going on, what happened behind the scenes, how the situation happened for you and everything. But then some part of me is like, as much as I want to hear what she has to say, I also would not mind seeing Kenya back on the show. And I would not want to see her do or say anything that would affect her coming back onto the show. I mean, Andy did have a podcast where he had additional co-hosts on the podcast, and they tried to say what Kenya Moore did was some sort of essay or whatever. And Kenya got in the comments to correct them and said, for the love of God, would you shut the fuck up? If you don't know what you're talking about, if you're not familiar with Georgia law, this, that, and the other, please shut up, okay? And I know a lot of people wanted to rag and tag on Kenya and call her out and say, you don't know Georgia law, da, 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 da. But we don't know if she got the information from her attorney. Okay, maybe her attorney gave her the information, which is why she felt confident to, repeat whatever it is that she said. But with her coming down to social media and expressing her thoughts and stuff, a lot of people took it as though she was taking a shot at Andy when she didn't necessarily take a shot at Andy. She took a shot at the co-host on the show. Right? But when you get fans and people involved, they can twist, turn, and however they want, and if Andy didn't feel a way originally, maybe he did based on what the fans are saying. Not necessarily sure, but I feel like that, I don't want her to be silenced at the same time. But if you would like to see yourself back on the show, I just feel like unfortunately, you have to move very carefully in these spaces. Okay. For her to come down to the YouTube, I am cringing a little bit because, again, I want to hear what Kenya has to say. We're going to discuss it here on the channel, but then also the fans are already like, oh, she wasn't apologetic. Her apology didn't count. First, they said she didn't take accountability, right? Then when people highlighted the fact that she did, and she went over to the Tamron Hall show and she took accountability, this, that, and the other, then they said, well, her reacting and responding the way that she did means that the apology didn't matter and she didn't mean it and da-da-da-da. And I'm not saying they wrong. Feel however you choose to feel, because I'm not going to argue with you about it. Okay. But with that being said, I am cringing a little bit because as she comes out to speak, on her experience and speak her side, because she has that right to tell her side of the story, right? People are going to be back on her head again about how they feel like she is not remorseful. And if that's how you feel, that's fine, because I know I don't feel like Brit was remorseful when she showed up to Kenya's event with flowers and things. I understand that may have been the intent, or supposedly based on what the producers wanted us to see and what she wanted us to believe. But I don't believe that she was genuine. To me, I don't believe that. So if you feel like Kenya's not, then that's on you. Just like it's on me to feel how I feel about Brit. But when I hear her come to the YouTube, I'm like, yes, tell me. I want to know more. Like, how are you feeling about this? What are you thinking? But then I'm like, should we really do this? It could potentially not bring you. They could not bring you back. And in addition, this just could, go to the left with the fans. Who knows, right? But y'all leave y'all thoughts down below. I know y'all gonna do that anyway, because just how y'all is, honey. I can hear y'all now. Some people are gonna be in support of this because she does have a right to tell her side, and then some people are gonna be like, girl, shut it up, pack it up, and go on about your business because you did this to yourself. You could blame Brit all you want, and it's just it's a mess, okay? And you really ain't sorry coming down here trying to do this. You ain't sorry. So I don't know, girl. It's a lot. It's a whole lot of going on. Okay. But that's what Kenya has for us. She's coming to the YouTube. I'll be tuned in, just like I'll be tuned in to one of Porsha's upcoming episodes that we'll get to in just a second. But what I did want to highlight was the fact that Kenya's good friend, who she brought to us last season, AK Akila, I do believe is her name, she came down to social media shortly after that episode aired. And what she says was, all I'm going to say is you were provoked and antagonized for 4 episodes. You were the best version of yourself during every single encounter with every single cast member. The moment the threat was made was the moment action should have been taken. Instead, you were called a liar, and told you, didn't hear what you heard. Now, see, that would have pissed me the hell off. If I'm telling you what was said, and then you want to sit up there and tell me that that did not happen, and then you want to take your ass down to these different blogs and sit up there and say, oh, well, whatever Kenya is saying happened, that did not happen. We're investigating this. And then you got people coming down saying that's not true, and then we paying it to the damn producers standing around on set. So everybody sitting over there looking at Brit like, is she okay? Like, what the hell? And y'all over there in Bankhead, okay, which is crazy because she was just talking to Kelly about how she was so afraid to go over to Bankhead, but you the one coming over there with the threats and stuff. That's crazy. Sound like you was in your element just a little bit, okay? However, that would have pissed me off, okay? Just a bit, and it seems like Kenya may have been pissed off. All right. AK goes on to say, everyone involved played in your face. So what's a girl to do? I don't blame you for taking matters into your own hands and finding out where the skeletons are buried. And with that, I have to say, I agree. Like, none of us fault her, in my opinion, I'll speak for myself, okay? I agree with AK. I don't fault her either for finding the skeletons. You wanted me to find out about you? That's what I'm finna do. What I do fault is for her to even give this woman any ounce of attention at her function. And what I do fault is exposing her images in that way. Okay, I feel like there was a way to expose it without technically even exposing it. You know what I'm saying? I think that Kenya has shown herself to be way more calculated than that. I don't know if she felt really desperate in this moment, because I don't know what all channels she went through to try to get this matter taken care of, and they just took it as, like, it's not that serious or whatever. Maybe she should have got a lawyer, maybe she should have lawyered up or something and been like, yeah, I don't trust this lady. Let me give me a restraining order on this person. I really don't know like that. But if you giving me threats, like, that's one way I'm going to keep you from filming with me, potentially. I don't know what else it would have taken, but whatever it was she did do kind of backfired. And it's a very unfortunate situation, because Bravo has allowed people on so many different occasions to show their R's. And then once they finally really show somebody else's R's, honey, as soon as they show somebody else's ass, it's given, we're going to have to snatch you up. Now, we're going to always give you a pass to show your ass, but when you get ready to show somebody else's ass, that's what we're going to have to draw the line just a little bit. Okay. But yeah, I definitely agree. Expose. Yes, that's what we do on these reality shows. However, it's about how you go about doing that. And I think it was the how that really messed it up for me. Okay. Because if Kenya found that out, it was gonna come out, period. It was gonna come out. She was gonna listen. You are a dumb shut up, okay? You are a paid shut up. This what it was. She was gonna release it, honey. It just was about how you did it. And I would not have been the one to have done it. Somebody else would have had to did it for me. Just a little bit. I just would have been a bit more strategic. But anywho, enough of that. Let's move on. Because, when it comes to everything that's taking place, people have accused Ming Lee. A lot of people aren't familiar with Ming Lee. Ming Lee, from my understanding, used to date Rick Ross at one point. She owned a hair salon here in Atlanta. I'm not sure if she still owns it or still has it. I think so. She used to be best friends with Karen Civil, and she, was like great at, being a hairstylist, and she just kind of a beautiful woman. It just grew from there, her popularity and things, and being connected, with different people and stuff. And I wish I knew what the fallout was between her and Karen Civil, because they like stopped talking to each other, and you never heard anything else about it. You just stopped seeing them with each other. And I actually think that's how it should be, right? When you fall out with somebody and y'all not talking no more, just fade into the background, okay? Just like some people quietly remove their partner's pictures off their page, and if you don't see me with him, we not together type thing, I'm with that. But the nosy part of me be wanting to know what the hell going on. But aside of that, enough of that, because it ain't my business. But she's now dating Ty, who people were trying to connect Drew to, who was also dating Mimi Faust. She's a basketball player. I believe she may still play, not sure. But professional basketball player Ty, they are dating now, and we're going to see Ming Lee over on Basketball Wives, but she was present at the Kenya Moore event. And I don't know how, but people started to connect Ming Lee to this situation because Brit also dated Rick Ross. But it's like, girl, Rick Ross and dated so many people that I question, were y'all really dating a man or were y'all just smashing a man and y'all would just be seen in the same location? Okay, because sometimes I feel like women be thinking they dating somebody and the men don't think they dating y'all. Okay, get that together. But aside from that, I do believe Ming was actually dating him though. But they're trying to tie her to releasing these images or passing these images over to Kenya. And this is what Ming had to say. Somebody got in her comments and says, you messy for telling Kenya that girl's business. Cute though. All right. And then Ming says the internet told that girl business. What I know is still in my phone and I'm not on the show. Not my monkey and not my circus, period. So it seems like Ming is saying, oh, I got tea on her. Don't get it twisted. Okay. It's giving she a fraud. I got information. But what I got still in my damn phone, I haven't released anything on that girl. So don't put me in it. Oh, I could get in it, but that's not my monkey and it's not my circus. So don't do that. So someone else says, girl, they said that you were the one who provided the RP pics to Kenya on your ex-boyfriend's ex-girlfriend, Brit. Low down. And she says, well, they lied. Case closed. Okay. Again, not my monkey, not my circus. All right. So that's what's being said. Shout out to RHOA Talk for capturing that. This is what was put out. Now, here's the thing for me. If you let Miss Porsha Williams tell it, and we're going to get to that in just a second. If you let Miss Porsha Williams tell it in her preview for her upcoming episode over on the YouTube, honey, she is saying something a bit different. So that makes me think I'm not Brit, but Ming Lee isn't lying. I'm believing, first of all, when it first came to me, I was like, huh? Who said that? Like, well, how y'all put Ming in it? Right? So when Ming says she didn't do that, and then you hear what Porsha says, I definitely believe Ming, but I'm wondering who the heck is Miss Porsha Williams talking about? Let's get into it.
There is a housewife still on the show right now who gave Kenya that nude information. No, I'm going to expose that. Everybody needs to know who she is. That was crazy to me. And I said, y'all know something about Charles? Like that, you know what I'm saying? Just playing with her. But I guess I'm a good actress or hit a sore spot. There was a lot of going back and forth at the table. And at that point, Kenya says, peasant. She picks up what looked like a damn serving spoon and start hitting her damn glass like this. Attention what, girl? What? Let's sip on that. Put a pin in that too.
So listen, I think Porsha is on Angela's ass. Okay, now when she said attention, lang. First, I'm wondering if she's talking about Miss Britannica. Like, are you talking about her because Kenya called her a peasant and she needed to clank, get some attention in the room and she was doing too much? Or was that Miss Angela being that it was her event and she needed to instill some type of order in the palace like Mama D? So I don't know. And she's talking about she gonna expose somebody. So Angela, let me tell y'all something. I question if Porsha was talking about Drew because once she's had it out for Drew, she's already said in a previous week ago or so, she said, listen, I am going to be bringing receipts to the reunion. And this was before we even got into this portion of the exposure of Miss Edie. Well, I started to think she was going to bring receipts on Drew. Now, I don't know. Drew's reaction at the show did look like she was uncomfortable, but then she did ask Cynthia afterwards, like, how did you feel about that? And I feel like that could be mistaken. It could be just her wanting to know. And then it could be, how you felt about it? I gave her the information, but how you feel, right? But at the same time, I kind of don't want to put that on my girl, Drew. Okay, so let me take that up off Drew. And Miss Angela, come here. Don't put your hands on me. Sit down. Have a seat right there. Let's talk. BIT, it might be you. Now, I'm not going to listen. And let me say this. Let me not put you out there like that because I was questioning when people did Ming like that. So I don't know if it's you for sure. And Porsha has not named who it is. But I will say a good bit of this trailer that was played was seems to be about you. Right? So I don't know if you were the person that did it or not, but let me tell you something. It's giving very much so sneaky, Miss Angela. Now, I'm kind of liking this sneakiness on the show, just a little piece, because it makes for great conversation, very entertaining, okay? You skipping over how the other child came into play. You think you could just do stuff and just glaze over our head and we ain't gonna catch it, okay? But I kind of like that because I'm able to clock it and clock you. So, okay. All right. You tried to pull the wool over our eyes like your daughter tried to do down in that damn coffee shop, talking about that grandmama and stuff. So you think you're slick, okay? You know, ask me for some money. Ask that for some money. Listen. So when you sat up there and told the people that you kind of felt bad because that was your question, you fed that question. You was being real sneaky, like, but everybody was sneaky, so nobody really knew whose question was whose, right? But you knew what you were gonna do at that event. You knew that you were gonna pose questions. You knew what you were gonna put in there. So it was a little piece of messy. You knew what you was doing. So now I want to be now that would be some messy shit. That would be some really messy stuff. If you sat up there and not only did you invite these ladies out, you asked this question, got some SHI started, told Brit you understood her, and you with her, then go over there and tell Kenya that you on Kenya's side, and then you also gave her said information, news. Now, granted, Porsha could be lying on somebody. I don't know. But because Kenya also said she was going to do her own background. And if Kenya did her own background check and she was able to get the information, then how could one of the housewives have given that information to her? But being that Kenya pulled Angela to the side and said, you're the only person that called and checked on me, and they're having a chit chat with whatever, and you on her side, I don't know. Because, and I don't know if it was Angela either, because when I think about it also, right, Angela looked like she was just as disappointed as everybody else. She walked out with Shamia and Porsha. She looked like, oh my God, like, Kenya, no, like, that's too much. Like, that's too far. Like, Angela literally was looking up to God for guidance. Like, so maybe it wasn't Angela, right? Everybody was upset, but I will say, and I'm not trying to clock my girl Drew because I don't know who did this. And if Drew did not do this, Porsha, don't put that on Drew if she didn't do it. Don't you put that on her if she didn't do it. But what I will say, Drew was the only one that stayed behind with Wanyetta and Kenya. But again, I will say this. I don't know what Porsha means by she gave her. We got to play it again. Let's play it again. Let's get into it again, because I don't know if Porsha gave her receipts or gave her. So if it were receipts, right? I don't know if it was like receipts is in a photo, or as in, girl, you heard I had heard that she used to do X, Y, Z. So it could have just been a simple conversation where somebody was having and just was like, hey, I heard she used to, wow. And Kenya's like, oh, really? Okay, let me take a note of that. Let me look into that. So that's crazy. But Porsha, I'm going to tell you this. If it was a person that gave Kenya this additional information, some part of me is like, well, maybe they should have been suspended too. However, that person may not have known how far Kenya was going to take that information. They didn't think she probably was going to show anything, right? But damn, Ken, damn, girl, you really could have handled that so much better.
There is a housewife still on the show right now who gave Kenya that nude information.
Okay, so she says that she gave Kenya that nude information. But it doesn't mean she printed anything out. Doesn't mean none of that. She just, hell, let's be honest. All the housewives talk about each other. We just saw Bowles over there on Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, where she said she asked Garcelle to give her the tea on the ladies, and Garcelle said, no, you got to get your own experience with them. I commend Garcelle for that. Get your own experience, okay? So I feel like everybody, yeah, that's what they do. Everybody asking around, they want to know tea, but I would not be surprised, y'all. Angela could have told her. Drew could have told her. Ooh, honey, y'all leave y'all speculations down below. Let me know who the housewife is that you think Miss Porsha is talking about, that she plans on exposing at a later time. Let me know your thoughts about Kelly feeling as though the friendship between Porsha and Miss Britannica is just giving fake as hell, all right? Let me know your thoughts about Angela feeling like Phaedra Parks is clout chasing off of her. I don't know. That's new to me because I didn't even know they had a beef. It seems like when Phaedra has done interviews about Real Housewives of Atlanta, she's thrown shade at Drew. And I'm already ready to get on your head top just a little bit, Phaedra, about that. We'll see how the season's going to play out. Now, I was leaning on your side towards when we were doing Married to Medicine. However, if you coming for some of these ladies unwarranted, like Drew, I might be over there on your head top just a little bit, okay? But we shall see. All right, we shall see how the rest of the season is going to play out and everything. But right now, I want to hear from you guys. Please leave your thoughts and comments down below. I am Jami, that's me. You can find me over on Instagram, Twitter, BLUESKY at Jami, that's me. All right, subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.
Tell him I preach to the choir. Stand with my feet to the fire. Give all the glory to God. Stand in the midst of these haters, I'm silent, nobody can stop me. Just gotta check in my notification, them numbers hit like it's a praxis. Cashed out at the ATM, and the ATL, they done made a gym. I've been kicking doors like the ATF, got them trying to clone me like Agent Smith. Game time, I invaded gym, high elevated, I could face the